Hey everybody! So welcome to part 2 of what the world can learn from you as a rebel. So last night we went over a couple points about really what it is that the world can learn from traits that rebels kind of have innately. And tonight I want to talk about two different characteristics that, even though people tend not to like us for, if they used it a little bit more in their own lives, would be really helpful, and also just in society in general. So the first one is that we're not really afraid to offend people and piss people off. So, we go about saying whatever is on our minds and whatever we feel, and we might have tact, right? We don't walk around just trying to offend people, but we will speak our minds. And I think that's really important today because we're moving in general towards a very tiptoe around our issues kind of world. Meaning that when we get into personal interactions with people, we tend to really censor what we say to an alarming degree, I think. So much that it's starting to inhibit actual communication. And people, it's like half the time you're talking to somebody that's totally blank. Why? Because they're too afraid to really give an opinion. They're too afraid to maybe say things in the wrong way or ask the wrong question. And that's not good for anybody. It's not good for growth. It's not good for really taking a stand. It's not good for really understanding, can I be friends with this person? Is this person, someone that I could have a deeper relationship with? Do we share the same values? And this is all stemming from our inability to have kind of real authentic conversations because we're scared to offend, right? So we, on the other hand, we tend not to have this problem so much, even though society is sort of pressuring our culture into being a little bit more politically correct. And again, I'm not saying you're going around being a total asshole just trying to offend everybody. But at the same time, you're not walking around trying to sugarcoat everything and speak, in roundabout sort of ways just to get your point across. So that's number one, is not really being afraid to piss people off or make waves. It's a huge deal that I think it's one of those points society in general could really learn a lot from us. And then the second one, which is even, I think, more important, and one of the bigger points about this whole rebellious character, is that we tend to be really focused on justice, really focused on fairness. And we tend to be born with a very acute sense of when something, a system, people, when there's some kind of discord between actual justice and things are just being really out of line with that, really out of tune. And we're not afraid to speak up for this. So if you look throughout history, you look at, classic like Martin Luther King Jr., and he's just an easy example to pull because he wasn't afraid to speak up and say, what is happening here? Like, what is this inequality? What is this injustice? And of course, it's a huge issue. And our little injustice meters tend to be really fine-tuned. So even in our workplaces, in our personal relationships, we tend to be the one to call it out and to bring it to attention. And again, usually not in some kind of insignificant way, not in the superficial way that people tend to bring maybe some things to HR that don't necessarily need to be brought to HR for self-gain, put it that way. But it's more like, no, I'm seeing this systematically happening. Maybe it's these people not being promoted, not being hired, things like that we aren't afraid to call to attention and to try to change. So that opportunity to have that sense of justice, to have that sense of innate fairness, right? And to be able to put that out there on behalf of ourselves and on behalf of other people who we feel are being sort of victimized in this scenario. That's something that I think a lot more people can really take to heart and gain a little bit of that courage from us. So maybe it's up to us to it is up to us, what am I saying, to do that for society, but also maybe it's up to us to help other people have the courage to call it out when they see it, have the courage to stand up in that way for someone else even. Or, a lot of people, they have trouble, as we've talked about, standing up even for themselves. So giving that kind of power in them. So there you have it. There are 4 different ways that society could really learn from some of these innate rebellious characteristics that we're usually ostracized for or criticized for. That really, if more people in society kind of took these lessons to heart, we would probably have a more just world. So thank you guys, and today's letter is O. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Bye.